how does that affect our meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Is there a more optimal way to organize ourselves? So kind of open the floor to that. And then we're now at the phase where we're kind of looking at like what is going to be the focus or the foci for the next sprint. And so I've got 3 very rough ideas of some areas where we can focus, and I want to get just some initial feedback from the crew. So that should carry us through most of the meeting today. Are there any other things that people would like to make sure to cover today?
Yeah, I'd just say the issues with the forum are something that's going to be really critical, and there's a lot of interest in new proposals directly to the TEC that we kind of need to have a unified narrative on exactly how to go about doing that.
Okay, so your question, it sounds like there are 2 things you're talking about. One is the technical, the glitch, the certificate glitch right now, and then there's the bigger question of you're aware of some projects that might be coming through asking for funding?
Already existing projects as well, just people that are looking for direct funding from the TEC, and they're wondering how to do that. And so I just wanted to get some feedback on what we're doing in terms of, because I know conviction voting is still up, or if we're going to go through TAL voting, if we need to have some type of streamlined, more clear process that we need to convey.
Okay. All right. Trying to think if we. Okay, let me digest that. Let's start off with a round of intentions and distractions. Barry, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Intentions. Just to have more clarity on the next steps, on the next objectives for the sprint, and also going forward. And I'm also really curious on this new structure for the meetings. I think that's going to be helpful. And distractions, not at the moment. So I'll just pass it on to Juanca.
Hey, I'm a little bit distracted today because I woke up feeling with a cold, so I am like sore throat. And my intention is to sync with you guys to keep up with what's happening in the TC and to contribute any way I can. I will pass it to Livy.
Thanks, Juanca. Hope you feel better. And my intent was to check on the forum to understand when it's coming back up, because I was sending that forum post to people, inviting them for the interviews, and also, just listen to everything that's going on here. And I'll have to leave in the half of the hour for another meeting. And I'll pass to you, Tim.
Found the mute button. Intentions is to hear more about our new coordination framework. Really excited that that's kicked off, and to support in any way I can, and no real distractions. I can pass to Isaac.
Cool, thanks. Intentions, well, just to go through the agenda and chat about everything that's happening. And distractions, not at the moment. I'll pass it over to you, Joseph.
Intention just to catch up with everybody, see where we're going to go moving in the future, and distractions. No distractions. I think everyone's gone, so mindful minds not here. So I'll pass it back to Gideon.
Yeah, and Mason, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, thank you, Gideon. So my intention is to catch up with you guys, keep learning, and hopefully throw a useful idea here or there.
Awesome. Wait, did everybody go? Nate, you went, right? Did you go?
No, but my intention is to kind of get a better understanding of the direction we're heading after this grant round, and the distractions are currently none. So I'll pass it back to you, Gideon. I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. My intentions. Yeah, I mean, my intention. I really would like to get some feedback on these rough ideas for kind of the next couple sprints. Distractions. I must admit, it's been harder to come back from that meditation retreat than I thought it was going to be. It's, I'm winding back up, and it's trying to wind back up in the right way. So, all right, let's jump in, and Isaac, do you want to lead us through the updates round, the round of updates?
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, so technically these would be like a weekly scrum where people would go and just update, say what are they working on, and if they have any blockers on the work they're supposed to do during the sprint. But because we're still getting into the flow and getting used to, we are just going to do a quick round of people just standing out very quickly, saying what are they working on, and if they have any issues they would like some help on with. Maybe you want to start, Bear, and just pass it over to once you finish.
Yeah. So some quick updates. Well, payments were sent yesterday to everyone, so you should have received that. Some of the work that I've been doing in the past few weeks, it has to do with this idea of having an initial framework on, the journey that newcomers can take once they join the TEC, and how does that look like throughout time, all the way until they are able to kind of like join the coordination team, defining those responsibilities and benefits as well, and trying to bring a little more clarity on that for all the contributors. So I've been working on that. I think it's been going slowly, but surely. I'm hoping that at least some initial framework of that we can have done for the end of this sprint. This is something I've been chatting a lot with Gideon on, and I feel that once there's something a little bit more solid, I might share with a greater group. So there's that. In terms of the financials, I think this is just a cool quick update for the team. You can always go into Notion, and there's a section there in finance that you can click on, and you'll see kind of like the dashboard with all the balances and some cool insights about the multi-sig of the team and how the funds are distributed across the different kind of like accounts that we have, the academy, the grants program. There's a couple of things there, and also kind of like our monthly cash flows that we've had. So I think it's cool insight that you can always refer on to. And besides that, there's also been some work in terms of roles, but I think we can leave that for another moment. I'll pass it on to maybe Joseph.
Sorry, but my I had a bit of laptop trouble with my audio. Could you give me a summary what I'm going to be talking about, please?
Just updates right now.
Updates right now. Yeah, just literally just coordinating with Nate with regards to like the SPI to see how I can plug in. I haven't updated everyone with regards to like the comms report, so whenever there's free time to do that, I can do that. And still updating our community list. So I'm creating a list of platforms and like kind of influential people and putting them into a list, so that for any projects or anything like that where we need to do a bit of outreach for particular people, whether it's founders of particular type of platform, there's a steady list there. And I want to work on I think I caught what Bear was talking about a little bit with regards to preparing like a page document to help onboard newcomers into the team and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Nate.
Yeah, so we just got done with this grant round, and so the updates with the SBI. We have a couple of new projects in the TEC Discord. If you look under TE groups, we have the TEC utility group and the token launch simulator, who have decided to use the TEC Discord to kind of work from. They will be having weekly calls, and so this will be kind of a point of collaboration for anybody who is interested in helping these initiatives. There are a couple more that have shown interest. They're currently exploring options, including Oxcart, who might join us within the TE group. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting applications for people to come in and just kind of work on their projects, their tokens, or research, whatever it may be, to actually come into the TE groups as part of this SPI that's going to be evolving as we move forward. And then, of course, just looking forward to kind of integrating more closely with the Token Engineering Academy as time moves forward. So those are the updates right now, and I'll pass it over to you, Gideon.
Okay, thanks, Nate. So Discourse Forum, it's a certificate. It looks like a certificate issue, and Griff has some pathway to fixing that, but the problem is he's out right now. So I'm following up with him to see if he's got somebody else we can turn to. Rex has reached out as well. He's got the person who manages our domain, I think. So we're trying to. It seems to be kind of like a settings issue with the certificate, but we're working on it. This is one of our vulnerabilities actually in the TEC. It's our tech stack. It's some of the points of control are kind of distributed a little bit.
I will say that I did set up a Metaphoro, which is a decentralized forum approach, like at the beginning of this year. I'd set it up for the TEC, but I'd never introduced it or used it. So I don't know if that's something worth exploring, but there's, outside of that, like there's a lot of valuable information on our old discourse. So I think that, it's worth keeping, but exploring this new format might be interesting as well.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the update on that. Unfortunately, we don't have an estimate in terms of when this will be back up. So I'm hoping to hear back from Grip today, and we'll see. We'll update, and either Isaac or I will update everybody on timing once we know more.
Gideon, sorry to interrupt. I'm pretty sure it's Kay who can help us with this. Is that who you and you're in touch with now?
Who is that, Tam?
I'm pretty sure it's Kay. Kai. Okay.
Hey.
I'll set up a DM and just see if
if
we can.
That'd be great. I just can't remember. I know Isaac mentioned somebody that Rex is talking to. I just can't remember if that's who it was. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, finish your updates and I'll say mine.
Okay. So ENS grant. That's kind of gone up and down. There's a large grant for 50K with ENS. It looked like for a while we were not eligible, then we were eligible, then not eligible, and now it's looking like we're eligible again. So it's been, I laughed, I cried, I laughed and I cried, and now hopefully I'm laughing. So hopefully we'll get that out. I'm going to try to get a draft of that done. Yeah, the other thing is, continuing to have conversations with Angela. I think it's now time to kind of to move things forward with setting up a legal structure, or at least the option to have a legal structure so that we can move the merged entity into that. So there's a whole bunch of work that has to happen on that front. that I'm starting to now think about how we accelerate that. So that's my update. I will pass to, I guess there's a question here. Maybe what we can do is, I know Juan, Tam, Livy, you all have so many projects you're working on. I guess what I would ask is, what are the projects that are relevant to the TEC? If you can give updates on that, and we can just do a round on that. So I'll pass it to you, Tam.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So I don't have many things that's very active in the TEC right now, I would say, or particular tasks, or the one particular task that is on my plate that is not super active right now is the advisory board for the TEC, specifically maybe starting with an AI focused cluster. But really, I don't have the bandwidth at this moment to push that forward, although I hope to make it a higher priority in the very near term. One of the things that is very interesting and related to the TEC is I jumped on a call with Angela, who was presenting to Griff, and maybe I think she might also present to the wider TEC too. Some of her ideas and thinking around token engineering GPT, and that could be very interesting, and how it relates to token engineering commons and how it relates to the merge between the two organizations. But I'm really just more of a listener and observer in that than taking any action, to be honest. So those are the two things that are on my radar that are related to the TEC right now. Should I pass to Olivia?
Thank you. Yeah, I can give some updates on the stakeholder study. It's been going very well. We are entering week 9, I think, 8 or 9. And we have interviewed around 20 people already. And we're doing the second round of reach outs now for the people that we interviewed, for the people they are recommending we interview. And I think this is the slowest process of just getting people to schedule times. And we're hoping to have the study end by end of June, and have the report to share in July. Now I'll pass to you, Gideon.
Okay. Juanca, do you want to get? Is there anything that's relevant on your side right now?
Yes. Well, in Gravity, the course is ready, but we are waiting for the right momentum to launch it. Like, it's ready on the content, but we are in the last testing phase. We are having people testing the course, and we are testing it ourselves to see the experience. So it's something that it's been delayed, but we hope that it's something that benefits the public good, having this free online course. And on other things, something that came up in this call was like projects that want to be funded by the TEC. And some idea that I have is to not use only our resources, but to teach the projects how to make resources on their own. And for example, I am seeing that Giveth on Mondays are having like a fundraising call where they talk about multiple grants in the space. And I think that call would be really great for any project that wants to be sustainable. And for example, that is something that has participating in those calls has helped Gravity a lot. Since we've been participating in that call, we've also made applications to several grants that maybe were not in our radar. And I think it's good to bring these projects to this privileged information where they can see maybe some grants that from communities or from projects that you maybe don't know too much. And on that side also, we are working with Optimism, and they for this coming season they want to make some sort of like a cultural build, because Optimism was had like a lot of new token holders due to the airdrop, but at the same time, to claim the airdrop you had to delegate. So people, when they delegated, they felt like, okay, that's all that I have to do, and they are not having like the right processes, and to involve the community, to make it engaging for the community to participate in their calls. Actually, they have very few calls, and all the activity is in the forum. So I think that from the experience that we had on the cultural build is something that is really valuable, because there are a lot of organizations that are born without a cultural build, and then they make the culture on the run. And in the TC was very special that we did it before and we thought of it. So, like, what I am trying to say is that Optimism is a community that has a lot of funds, but they don't have a strong culture, and they are trying to work on that because people don't know or don't participate actively, and they want to foster more this community and social fabric. So for this next season, they will be focusing on the culture, and we will facilitate a Graviton training to their community, so that the community is has the benefits that Gravity can bring with trust creation, with lowering the waterline, and facilitating competence on conflict management for the people. So yeah, like also this is something that Griff's has said, that in that community there's a lot of funds and a lot of intention to support projects. So if anyone wants to like get engaged in and look for opportunities, that is a good opportunity in Optimism. The way they are doing the compensation is that they lock the funds for the service or for the activity for 1 year in OP, but at the same time they let you apply for the retroactive funding. So it would be good, because you can start working, maybe not with a direct reward, but according to the impact that you make in the community, you will be retroactively rewarded. So yeah, those are my ideas. Not only giving the fish to the projects, but telling them how to fish. I've been learning how to fish in Gravity, and thanks to that Give It call, and Give It, they are doing this amazing fundraising strategy that they are participating in multiple grants. And even I think that General Magic is going to offer the service of supporting projects, raise funds and participate in grants when they keep a percentage and a fee for their work. So yeah, those are my ideas. And on the Ethereum Colombia community, that is my other project. We are using a DAO, and we are actively having 5 nodes. And through the DAO, we make distribution of the funds for the events of the nodes. And something that is really cool is that we learned all these from the TEC, and Mateo is supporting with the infrastructure, and we have like a DAO for our community. That's super cool.
Okay, thanks, Wonka. Yeah, we're actually actively in the process. Actually, Libby is writing a grant right now to Optimism to help us with the move over to Optimism and a bunch of other work on TC infrastructure. So yeah, that's good. That's good to hear that. Mason, do you have anything that you'd like to add real quick?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Isaac, do you want to take us into the next part, the events part? I mean, not events, sorry, the meetings and ceremonies.
Sure. I guess just very quickly about the forum. Rex has been in touch with Chris and Christopher, who are the ones that have access to the DNS, and also Royale, but they haven't replied yet. So I guess just wait until one of them replies, and he'll probably request direct access for the next time this happens, because this isn't the first time. Um, and yeah, let's jump straight into it. 1 second to find this here in your screen. Okay. So I showed this. It's going to be, I think, 2 weeks ago or last week. But pretty much now that we are trying to do some agile, to use an agile structure to manage projects and to become better and more structured at delivering. We do have to understand the ceremonies and how they work, and maybe even seeing how everyone fits into the ceremonies, and if we need to, maybe cut one call or have one more, or even move them from the calendar to different days, whatever. So I just go one by one, and I'll leave a few minutes in between each one of them for questions, comments, or whatever. The first one is the sprint planning, which primarily requires to have the product owner or the client, the project manager, and the team. And we pretty much just go through the backlog, see the tasks, see the priorities, and try to peak as much as possible, but also being mindful of the balance, so that we are sure that we can deliver that amount of work during the sprint. I've seen some places that it usually takes 1 to 2 hours, so probably a decent fit for our Thursday call, which is longer. And yeah, pretty focused call. We haven't had a proper sprint planning yet. We have to build a bit more the backlog, but right now, it's a bit more spontaneous. I guess I'll just open it up for quick comments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Oh, Isaac, very very quickly, just
Yep.
it may be a silly question on my end, on my end, but my audio is kind of messing up. But I just wanted to ask a quick question. What is a PO? Is that a sprint? What is a PO and what's a PM? Project manager and project operator.
Let me go through the structure very quick. So, well, you have the stakeholders, right? All the people involved in the project and that care for the project, whatever. In this case, it may be token engineers, token holders, yada yada yada. Then the PO is the product owner or the client, which is the person that I guess sets priorities to work on, and so his work is to get in touch, to be around the stakeholders, to determine the strategy, to look for the big picture, and then make some requests or build a backlog of requests for the team to work on during the sprints. Then there's the project manager, which sort of I personally see it as something similar to the product owner, but more internal. So the project manager handles the workload and interfaces with the client to balance all the work and to keep the whole team on track. And then there's a team which works on everything for the project.
And I am sorry, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have knowledge of how many people participated in the token engineering round?
Um, well, I can check that very quickly. Donors was about 40, between 40 and 50 in Project 616.
Yeah, I noticed yesterday there was like an Streamlit page where you could see the data of the round. If you have it, can you share it?
Sure, one second.
Wait, Juanca, yeah, maybe what we can do is, can we, because I also don't want to interrupt Isaac with what he's doing right now, which is explaining like how all these processes fit together. Can we maybe?
Yeah, no, it was a parenthesis. Sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting.
Yeah, no problem. Maybe we just like send an update on we will definitely have an update on like what the engagement was and how how things performed for sure.
Cool. Okay. So then there's the weekly scrum. So technically, agile teams have a daily stand up where they just share progress in any blockers. We will do that more asynchronously. So if anyone has any issues, they shouldn't wait till a meeting to bring them up. They should just DM me or ping me on one of the channels. But in order to have at least one synchronous check, we have the weekly scrum at the sort of middle-ish of the sprint, where we would go through updates from everyone and find blockers, solve blockers, whatever. And there we have the client, the product manager, and the whole team. I guess I'll just count back to 5 again very quickly to see if there's any questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
So I don't have any questions, but I'd love to add just some comment here. I really like the idea, of course, of the daily scrum. And one of the things that I found in the TEC Ultimate Common Stack is that it's really hard to do a daily scrum remotely. Definitely doing the weekly scrum is a great solution, but it does lose some of the cohesion, the team cohesion that is brought about by a daily scrum. And one of the ways that we found to do it in Common Stack that I think is very successful for us right now is to do a very simple group DM, and it's sort of your daily, your daily stand up. And all we do is we say what we worked on yesterday, what we worked on today, and if there's any blockers. And it's designed to take, 5 minutes at some point of your day just to have a touch point with the rest of the team. One of the things that we found is you'd be surprised how many of other people's blockers you aren't aware about. And if you see it, you can react very quickly versus waiting until a week and somebody raises their blocker. So I would advocate for giving it a try, whether it's on a channel or it's a private DM group for the coordination team. I really, 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 really have found this to be the best way for us to do an asynchronous daily stand-up.
That's very cool. Thanks. Yeah, we probably should. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. On to the next one. We have the sprint review or the demo. This is this is where we show the results of the sprint. I guess sort of like the name of review ceremony where we can more focused on the results, on the product, on the service, and we show the stakeholders and everyone interested what's happening, and they can give feedback and all of that. So in this case, we would have all the people involved, the client, the project manager, the team, and also the stakeholders. Which in fact I think it's pretty, in concept, I think it's pretty similar to what we chatted about weeks, months ago, of having one of every 2 Tuesdays be one call that's more open with more people from the TEC overall, just to see what's happening, get some advice and whatever. So yeah, I'll count 5 to see if there's any comments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the next one, the retrospective, pretty similar to the review or the demo, but I guess more focused on the team, on the process. So it makes use primarily of the project manager and the team. We don't necessarily have to have the client in there, but well, because the client is also part of the team. In our case, it's the same. This is probably actually the only ceremony that we've had like properly ish last week, and I think was a nice time, and we actually was actually the reintroduction of praise back to the team. And so yeah, pretty much that, just to reflect on the process and how we felt about the sprint. I'll count 5 again very quickly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then to the last one, we have the backlog refinement. In this one, this one is mostly for the client to just sit down with the team and go through the backlog, see, because it's likely that the backlog that the client set up is not is very high level. Maybe it needs some more specs, maybe it needs some refinements, of course. And so that's a meeting where we would go all together, give feedback to the client, and help shape the backlog so that for the next sprint we have something more prepared, more concise to select and work on. Yep, those are the ceremonies. We are kind of fitting them slowly into our meetings, but there may be the case where we have to make some bigger movements to the calendar and the structure of the calls. We'll see how that goes. I guess now any comments, feedback, questions?
Isaac, so the backlog refinement, the last one, I'm assuming that feeds into the sprint planning, but how separated are those in time?
Let me open here the calendar. So this is one one kind of structure, I guess. The first meeting would be the sprint planning, of course. That's the beginning of the sprint. Then we would have the weekly scrum, followed by the backlog refinement. This is roughly at the middle of the sprint, which is, I guess, just to help us make sense before the following sprint, with some time before the following sprint. Although I've seen in I've read a few things in internet, and I've seen that the backlog refinement is actually something that the client does on a constant basis. You don't need to come to the meeting to do refinement, but it's nice to have some set aside time for the team to also be sort of in the loop and be able to help. So that's the backlog at the middle of the sprint. And then for the end, we have the retro, the review, and then we just come back again with the planning. Cool. Anything else? If not, that was my presentation. Thank you for coming.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for walking us through that. I think it's going to take us a little while for us to just build this in so that it's instinct. But we will also not have to rely on our instincts, because Notion is going to support us with this nice structure. So that's good too.
Can I just ask one question? In this structure, who are we considering clients?
Gideon. We pick people in general just because of like I think we had some natural fits. So Gideon has constant meetings with everyone that we can consider stakeholders, and has been working on the high level strategy for a while. So he is acting as the client, and I'm acting kind of as the project manager.
Okay, thank you for explaining.
Yeah, no, in that context, I mean, I see myself as really, it's like a sensor, a filter to kind of like try to figure out what the broader stakeholder sentiment is. But right now, those sensors are not super operational. So right now it's more kind of anecdotal, talking to a lot of people, but I'm hoping over time get a little bit better at that, like being able to sense where we need to go. I think actually the advisory network is part of that too, Tim. Okay, let's talk about, so we've got about 15 minutes left, and what I wanted to do, actually let me share my screen. So there are a few ideas right now that have been floating around in terms of like what we could be focusing on in the next sprint and the one after that. My guess is that in the next sprint, there probably will be just, some backlog stuff that we're going to have to work through. But I don't want to get us into a situation where we're suddenly, without project to work on. And that doesn't feel very good. It's been, I think, fun for the team to have like a project that is very demanding and is basically forcing us to all work together and kind of jump on the same project at the same time. It's more fun that way. So the ones that let me just explain these very briefly, because what I'd like to do is just get some very high level feedback from everyone. The next steps are to basically write this up as I'll share this. Write this up with something. Each of these opportunities, write them up with something along this kind of a template here that I'm showing on the screen. So like a title for the opportunity. It's like basically a project opportunity. It's like a project pitch in a way. Title and one-line description, a brief summary of what it is, benefits to TEC mission and stakeholders, strategic rationale, including synergies, risks and potential downsides, and then the minimum viable product checklist, like what needs to go into this first version of it. So before I go into the ideas themselves, I'm wondering if people have thoughts on, I don't want to overkill it, but at the same time, I think that these descriptions should be enough so that people can weigh in and provide some feedback on it. Is this a good list for describing the projects?
May I?
But you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just briefly, maybe a bullet point about the value proposition, what makes this project really special and unique.
Okay.
I'll add one also. Maybe like desired outcomes for the project. So after describing what is the project and describing, the summary and stuff, what desired outcomes do you think you would want to see from the project? Therefore, you can match it against the performance, whether we went over, underachieved, met the mark and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you both. That's good.
I think overall looks good. I would probably try to condense as much as those bullet points as possible. it's always easier to add, and if the project, I guess, the potential project brief needs something more, you can always add it. But the I guess the point is, the shorter the document is, it's probably the best in general. Just for people to be able to read it very, very quickly, and just to avoid putting too much work on things that may not become an actual project.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, in fact, actually, some of these additional things like desired outcomes, some of these, even like the minimum viable product checklist, it might be that like there's a first phase, which is just a very high level, like here's what it is, here's why this matters. And then based on whatever gets selected, then there's like the next level of, it's an actual project description for the ones that we're going to work on. So yeah.
Yeah, and maybe somewhere around there, also to include maybe some time estimate, I think would be good as well.
Okay, great. This is valuable feedback. Thank you. All right, so let me go. I'm actually kind of hesitant to go through some of these ideas because they're so rough at this point. But I figured actually better to just kind of at the very early stage just put them out there and see if there's some initial feedback. So the first one is an idea from Angela, Token Engineering Academy. Has a lot of opportunities. They have a lot of speakers who are interested in talking to that community. There's some interesting opportunities there for helping to bring some of the practitioners in the field in, allow them to engage with the students, kind of doing variety of things, whether it's like, I don't know if it would be a course, but it'd be like an event where, give a talk, maybe a panel, that kind of a thing. And, Angela's thinking that this could be, it's a helpful bridge for connecting the students with actual like job placements. Longer term with the AI project, this could morph into supporting them with hackathon like event management. So this is basically just building the TEC's event coordination and management muscles. What would that look like in the short term? Second one is reputation. So reputation, there's been a lot of conversations, a lot of people digging into reputation. Common Stack is looking at reputation and reputation tokens. Praise has some new capacities on that front. It's clear to me at least, that if we do build something valuable on the AI front, we need very strong governance to protect that value. And so having it just be purely financial leaves us vulnerable to a governance value extraction attack. So reputation is one of the ways of dealing with that. There's some ideas about how we could build on some of the work that's being done in the stakeholder study to reach out and start to build some reputation, not just praise like reputation, but like expertise in the token engineering field. So that's the second one. Third one is the curation service. That is building some nice momentum right now. The question is, how does this really relate to the value proposition of the TEC? How do we, does it make sense to bring this in much closer and really focus it in on what we're, like the kind of the core strategy? What would that look like? And then the last one, this is basically, I'm adding this in right now, which is the question of funding and voting. We still need a little bit of wrap up on conviction voting, DAO voting, like what does this process look like? Especially, I did not know that there are folks that are interested in coming for more funding. So, wrapping that up and getting us to a nice stable point, at least for the next 6 months. We've got a bunch of kind of like initial thinking and strategy in place, like, which is essentially what I was hoping is that we would position where it's like, hey, most of the TEC's funding is now going to go through matching grants rather than direct outvoting. But I think it's worth, like, we need to wrap that up and be able to, like, explain this very easily. So those are the four. So I'm going to open it up for comments, questions at this point, and we've got about 8 minutes.
Cool. I'll try to be very, very quick. First one I think we should add is the grants program. We won't be done because with the grants program for the next sprint, like there's some after grants work, if you like, making reports and all of that, whatever. But also preparing for the following round, which we have to chat about it. How does it look like? Events, yeah, pretty important. Also because I think everyone here knows what I think about the academy and the excellent work they're doing. And if Angela considers that to be important, that's in it's the first thing she actually asks from us. As far as work, I think it's for me it's not that negotiable. So we should definitely work on that. Reputation. I'm not sure how useful are we as a team to work on reputation. Like maybe you, Gideon, can have like some side tasks to keep in touch with common stack, but I don't think that's something we as a team can properly work on. And you give us some updates. Although as a personal note, I would love to be on the loop because I do have some thoughts, but as far as work, I don't think we are as helpful. Curation, I'm not too sure about the status of curation, but right now doesn't seem to me to be super high priority. Probably there's a bunch of things that we can do or that are higher in priority to curation. Maybe even the interest groups that are rising from the grants program are higher in priority than the curation itself. And then funding and voting, I think that's tightly related to the grants program. So that's a conversation that we would have to have all together, because I think we should slowly be moving towards making it very, very hard to ask for money in the DAO and direct everyone to the grants program, but we still don't know how does it look like. So that's kind of my take, I guess. Just that.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts? It could be, you don't have to go through every one of these points. It could be just like if you have a question or if you have a comment about one of them, feel free to do that too.
Yeah, I guess my only concern about all of this is that we have a bunch of dependencies that we're looking at in terms of, overall strategy. And for example, are we going to remain on Gnosis chain? Are we moving to optimism? What is the feasibility of that? Because it does dictate what we do. Because there's no sense in building infrastructure doing these things if we're having to move chains or dismantle the bonding curve or transfer capital to another chain. Also, in regards to this AI GPT, I don't really know anything about it. I don't want to be working on this curation service. We have a lot of momentum, been doing a lot of work on this, and if this is all for naught, then this is something that we need to address immediately, because you got multiple projects working on it, and I don't want this to be kind of a conflict that goes forward, and then all of a sudden Angela says, "Hey, we're doing this," and then we just follow, and that's the way it goes. So yeah, there's a lot of different little foundational things that I think need to be addressed.
Some thoughts on this is that I think in a way I find all of them important. I think it would be maybe a good exercise also to think about urgent and important. And the way I see them is as important to all of them. But at least for me, this idea of the funding and voting, and what Nate was saying about dependencies and moving to another change, and all of these kind of like fundamental and really basic changes, kind of like structural changes, I think those become urgent in my sense, right? I think everything else, in my sense, are things that we could probably push forward in parallel, maybe not as huge projects, but maybe as some smaller initiatives to keep everything rolling. I think that could be valuable, because I do see a lot of value in all of those 4 points.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. Any last words?
Yeah, I want to say that something that I've seen a lot is how liquid and fast changing this space is. I mean, we only have 6 years of Ethereum, and like so many layers, so many side chains, so many projects, and like projects also have certain momentum, and I think that it's good that we can sense that momentum and be in the right place at the right time. Because, for example, in Gnosis chain, there are a lot of cool toolings that have been developed by our team that now they are being rewarded to take and migrate those toolings to other chains. And for example, what I think is that it's not bad or uncertain that they are having changes. It's just the way the things are, and that we have to adapt. I think that Gnosis chain is super cool, and like the developers of Gnosis chain are super cool. But also there's being development in other chains that are also super cool, and I think that ultimately it's not the name what we want of the chain, but be in a chain that has the integration of all the best toolings from multiple projects and from multiple chains that have developed unique toolings can support the stability of the project and the better usage of the toolings. It's just what I think.
Okay, well, that is the last word for the day. And actually, it seems to me very clear that we are moving to optimism. There's just a lot of work to do that. One of the first steps is getting funding for it. So, but that will be a conversation, and I'm sure we'll go to a vote. Okay, everybody, thank you for your time today. As always, it's a pleasure, and we will see some of you on Thursday. And actually, Isaac, one of the things we need to do is look at your events stuff that we just went through and just see how this might change the way that we organize our meetings. So that'd be a good topic for next week. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.